Hi everybody, it's Gypsy. Today, well, yeah, let's go with announcements first. Tomorrow I'm not going to be at the craft fair. I'm just going to be at my booth. Anybody who's in the area, 960 West Main Street, Quartzsite, Arizona. Because, like I said, I just adopted Rhiannon, who was attacked by a dog right before I got her. So last 2 weeks I haven't been open because I have been, not 2 weeks, a week and a half. I've been taking care of the cats, trying to get them acclimated and taking care of Rhiannon's wound. So right now, Rhiannon and Persephone, they're tolerating each other right now. As long as Persephone does not get overzealous in wanting to play with Rhiannon, things are good. So we're getting there. Tomorrow, I'm reopening my booth. Again, check out Gypsy Witch Creations. All kinds of cool stuff there. Okay. Yes, and on Zoom, we can do readings on Zoom. If anybody wants a reading, on my website, gypsywitchcreations.com, it says how to contact me. Okay, so moving right along. This video is going to be possibly a little bit more serious than most of mine because it's a very difficult topic for me to talk about. I want to talk about the public schools and how I feel about them. And the effect it had on both of my sons, John and Christian. As you guys know, 4 pregnancies, people. 4. I am down to one of my children here. Lost 2 babies in the 90s. 7.5 years ago, I lost my son, John. But you know, guys, he's here with me. Anyways, and he will probably be putting in his 2 cents on this. Now, when I was in school, and this is Michelle talking, I started school in kindergarten in 1969. I graduated high school in 83. Things seemed pretty normal. But I think there were certain indications that we were headed in this direction. Well, first of all, in the 70s, desegregation we had, which is fine. But, yeah, the taxation problem, back in Ohio, where I'm from, taxes were higher based on the school system, how good it was, depending on where you were from. And so what they did, now we lived east of Cleveland, so it didn't include, like, my school district. They, bussed kids from a better school, like, that wasn't mixed. Yeah, I hate to say it that way, but that was the fact back then. I don't know what's changed and what has not. All I know is when my kids went to school, it was much more, well, when my oldest went to school, same high school I went to, it was much more mixed. It was, well, they hated me, and it was a rainbow there. I liked it. Yeah, but anyways, so you were paying higher taxes for one school district than another, but they were taking, the kids and swapping them. Okay? So that's not fair. It just, I don't know. Again, it implies to me that your intelligence is based, well, on the economic system you're growing up in. And that's bullshit. Your intelligence has nothing to do with it, nor does it have anything to do with the color of your skin. That's bullshit. Okay? So that was a hint that we were going towards this wokeness, I guess they call it these days. Right. And then, I think a lot about brainwashing. I talked about is society occults in my last video. I remember, and I've talked about this story before, when I was in 2nd grade in history class, or social studies, I can't remember which one it was, the teacher was talking about propaganda, teaching us about propaganda, and she was talking about Russia. She says Russia does this all the time to their citizens on the news, commercials, in schools, any way they can. They are giving propaganda to their citizens. And she told us what propaganda was, and she says, and the citizens don't even know it. Now, at 8 years old, I'm sitting there going, well, if the citizens don't know it, then how do we know it's not being done to us? And sure enough, it is. I don't think, especially in the large Western countries, I don't think there's a government, especially if it's a big government, that isn't using propaganda, aka brainwashing, on their citizens. So now what is happening, right, and I don't know, was there preschool when you and Mom were in school? Absolutely not. No, wow. So my dad is saying, I guess preschool started with my generation. And it was just playing. Except if your cousin's there with you, then it's not. But anyway, no, I'm just kidding. They start, it's like they're starting the kids earlier and earlier in school. And now the school year has gotten longer and longer and longer. Okay? Kids don't have time to be kids because they're in these schools, supposedly learning. Now I have to say, I had a good education. I went to Mayfield School District in Ohio. And they taught us well back when I went. I learned how to read and write and grammar. I learned arithmetic and science, everything. Okay? But what I noticed with each generation, things got more and more bizarre. Now, my boys, because, all right, John was from my first marriage, Christian was from my second, lost 2 babies in between, they ended up being 10 years apart. So I noticed a significant difference with their educations. And yes, John, for a while, did go to the same school district Christian did. So I noticed a difference. And now, from what I'm hearing, what kids go through in this generation, it's even worse. It is nothing but a brainwashing factory. Okay? And I would like the young parents, and the ones I meet in my lifestyle, being a nomad, they're living on the road, homeschooling their kids, for the very reasons I'm talking about. Young parents need to remember, they are your children. You have first and final say. You are their legal guardians. You don't like what's being taught. You don't like what's going on in that school. Pull them out. There are millions of different ways you can educate. But anyways, now when John was in school, and I'm going to ask him this question, it seemed very much like what I was learning. But I didn't have all the details. So, John, honey, what was your experience with school? Okay, Mom. My experience with school was very similar. Yeah, I'm going to say it was a cross between what you experienced and what my baby brother experienced. But with slight differences from my brother's situation. Okay, they were rather tough on him. Right. Different personality, too. Yes, we're going to get to him. Yes. So I was what you call a typical learner. This is my mom interjecting here. Typical learner is John had the type of personality that fit into the school's box. He learned the way the school wanted him to, which was fine, but not all kids are like that. Okay, Mother, thank you for that interjection. You were going, yes, I was going there, sorry. Anyways, right, so I had an easier time, and you often think in elementary school, right, yes, you may, Mother. Yes, like I shouldn't be asking permission, right? Anyways, John, very good, always, he did good in school, very intelligent, loves to learn and stuff like that. In elementary school, he was having trouble with, math, which, I know, all right, you're my son. Christian had the same situation, math, yeah, right. But having that IQ and everything, I couldn't understand what the problem was. I remember one night, now, right, homework has changed too, trying to help him. Was it math? Yeah, I think that day it was. Help him with his math. And he's sitting there in tears, and I'm nearly in tears. Of course, I didn't understand the way they did math by that time, and I never was good at it in the first place. Those kind of things concerned me. How could you have a child who's that smart and having this issue? Right, Mom. That to me was really of no significance. I was just having trouble catching on to the type of math we were learning at that time. Okay. It is up to me to teach you, and I told you, and I told Christians too, I'm bad at that. Right, Mother, and that's very true, which is why I needed that after school help. Okay. But my experience was more or less like yours. Right, like Grandma and Grandpa, you didn't think anything was amiss. Right. So my school situation did not go awry. I think I can handle it. Yeah. It's been a while. It's been 7.5 years. Okay, Mom. My school situation did not go awry until I started to get closer to, well, college age. All right, honey, let me ask you this, because this is something I've heard, and I find it concerning. When did they start trying to talk you into college and pick a major? Okay, yeah, that was me who told you that. Okay, yeah, well, I've heard it from so many now, I don't know. Right. They started with me in the 8th grade. Now that's middle school. Right, Mom. It's middle school. Which, I know how you feel about that, right? I've seen adults change their careers over and over again. You can't expect a child to commit to something, right? Right, a lot to explore. Exactly. So, it was in 8th grade I started to feel that pressure about what I was going to be and do when I got older. Right. Now, yeah. What I have to say about my son, John, well, both my sons, actually, when he made up his mind about something, when he made a decision, it was, especially when he got older. Right, Mom. Excuse me, honey, I need my water. So anyways, that's when I started to feel the pressure, well, about colleges and stuff. Right. You didn't talk, this is Michelle again, you didn't talk to me all that much about it. Oh, we really didn't discuss it. Right, and I told you why. Yeah, and that's true. I felt, because we were so poor, I couldn't go to college. And you never mentioned grants and stuff. I wasn't thinking about it at that age, when you were that age. Right, Mom, and we never really discussed it. And I know you were leaving the decision up to me. Right. I feel very strongly a major life decision like that, I had to go by you or your brother, what you wanted to do. Right, Mom. Based on your personalities. Right. So, I was feeling very pressured to go to school. Right, college. I wasn't really considering going. Did you want to go? That I'm still not sure of, even when I look back on my life. I'm not sure what I was feeling then. You guys are going to make a joke. None of us were sure what John was ever feeling, right? He was one of those, he was a good German, kept it in, right? Anyways. So yeah, I started feeling that pressure, and I wasn't sure what to do, and I never thought to ask you. You forgot, right? I forgot when Christian was a baby, you had tried to go back to school. Right. Anyways, yeah, it's not important why I had to stop. Right. So I didn't really think to discuss it with you. I did speak with that friend of ours, right? And he's the one who told me, he said, John, you're so smart. And since you guys live under the poverty line, gray hair is getting a mess, you could get grants and stuff. So I thought, well, that's great. And that's when I told you I wanted to go. Mm-hmm. Right. Now, I would like to pat my mother on the back, because I have a very rare, I'm going to say, form of a mother. She just said she would make, well, decisions based on our personality. She would allow us what she called age-appropriate decision-making. Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, with your kids are 10 years apart, it's hard, because the youngest will call you, well, he gets to do it. I say he's 10 years older than you are. Right. So anyways, when I brought it to my mother's attention, she was okay with it. You're right. And you indicated you did know about it. I hardly remember the conversation. Right. I kind of remember it. So that's when we decided to go full speed ahead with college. Right. And this, Michelle, this is based on my thinking that my son really did want to go. Okay, that's right, Mom. And I truly did at that moment. My issue was, right, what do I, sorry, I was just having a memory that one day I was like so proud. I'm sorry. Right. What would I major in? I didn't know what I was really attracted to and what I wanted to do. How many times did you end up changing your major? Right, I didn't know accounting bothered you so much. I didn't want to say anything because I thought maybe you knew better than me, but I was trying to imagine you sitting behind a desk doing accounting, and I just can't. Right, right. He was more like a bookworm like me, did quieter activities, but accounting, I know. Really? Yeah, something more unique I was thinking for you, John. Right. Um, so anyways, I couldn't decide what I wanted to do. So I was told yes, I could start and decide while I was in college. Sorry, honey. Yeah, right. Um, but even after I started, I couldn't decide. So I think I changed 2 or 3 times. Now, you always felt sociology would have been perfect for me. Yeah. Because, go ahead, say that, Mom. Right. John was a very quiet person. I used to be a very quiet person. Not anymore, but I used to be. What quiet people do is they people watch, and they watch society, and they're watching. You could sit in a mall and just watch people and start, yeah, like analyzing them. Right, that is kind of what sociology is, what makes society tick. I should have been a sociologist. No, Mom, you would have been Mark. I would have been Mark, yes. Yeah, you hear my videos, you can tell why. Right, is society a cult? Anyways, Mom. So that was my experience. It was not so much that elementary or even middle school was bad. High school was a little. I had some misgivings, right? I did enjoy your alma mater better, okay? Yeah, based on the diversity. Oh, that was it. You were really into learning, like I am, about different cultures and stuff. There you go, Mom. That's why I wanted to do sociology, right? So in that way, I would have been good at it too, John, right? Because I love to learn about other cultures, right? But I changed my mind because I was told I could not make money on it. I was told that about being an artist. I'm a starving artist, right, Mom? Anyways, yeah, that's one of my mother's paintings up here. She's very good. Anyways, thank you. So it wasn't so much the brainwashing in elementary or middle school or even high school, and I did acknowledge what you just said. So my mother just questioned, in retrospect, did I notice anything where they were indoctrinating us? I would like to say, all right, the issues with smoking, yeah, we were told that it was a legal drug. I wonder what they're talking about today then. Right. And that our children would be affected if we smoked. Right, this is true. Just a little rubber band in my head. Right. Anyways, we were learning stuff like that, like kind of how bad our parents' generation was. Wow. All right, honey, I have to. This is Michelle. I have to interject. We never learned how bad our parents' generation was back in the 70s. Let me tell you, no. We were taught to respect our parents, respect our elders. Wow. Yeah, Mom, those were the kind of indoctrinations we were. Bingo, Mother. Bingo. All right, I heard what you just thought inadvertently. That was the start. Now, you talked about the, destruction of the family, separating first the father with the Industrial Revolution, then, right, the mothers had to work, the kids are sent to school. They separate us. My generation was taught to hate. Wow. My mom needs a moment. Yeah, to hate our parents because their generation was very naughty. Okay. Wow. We did the best we could. Right. We all did, right? Wow. No, we never, my generation, this is Michelle. Yeah, he would have been marching in there, but your grandson never told me what they were teaching, right, Mom? Anyways, not that we weren't told not to, it was almost like we knew not to. Right. It was kind of like Aunt Lisa and the girls being reprimanded for what Aunt Lisa packed. Right. My sister's like the healthiest cook. It's right. So stupid. Anyways, those are the kinds of indoctrination we were getting. So it was the beginning. Well, not so much with what my brother was going through, because his situation made it hard for you to tell. Right. But with what's going on with the kids today, and that kind of indoctrination, and being, well, angry at boomers and Generation X. They haven't really attacked Generation X. I'm on the cusp. It's more the last year, the boomers, right? Not Generation X yet. They're going after the older people right now. We were taught to hate them. We didn't talk about our grandparents. It was our parents. Wow, honey, right. So what's going on now are these kids are taught, well, to disrespect and hate boomers. Right, and you do fall on the cusp. So my aunts and uncle are considered Generation X. Yeah, my brother and I are only 18 months apart. Right. And you have been called out for being a boomer. Right. Technically, I'm not really. I mean, they're all, well, all right, all my friends are boomers, though. Right, Mom. So anyways, it's like, despite your so-called generation's protests and, love, equality, acceptance back in the 60s and early 70s, right, that's been negated. It's when you got older that they're focusing on. And so they have these kids hating that generation. And right, your generation is would be, right, the grandparents of this one. So Generation X is coming up next, okay, to be, well, berated in schools and stuff. Now, what is happening now from what we see up in the spirit realm is they are being indoctrinated to always be on the side. Well, they're trying to make them the woked generation. I will unwoke my grandchildren, and my son will help. Your brother will help too. My sister-in-law will do it too. Right. We've had family discussions about that. Right. So that was my experience. Now, not so much that I was tricked into it, and I know your feelings on college. Right. One, all right, my generation back in the, well, late 70s, early 80s, you were told if you want to go to college, that's great. And it would help, you can make more money, whatever. But if you don't want to go to college, there are other options. We had vocational education, trade schools, stuff like that. And nobody was berated for it. And let's face it, people, we need people to have those jobs. I don't give a damn about AI or not. We still need those. Right. Also, now here's the thing. Which one of us is going to say this? Yeah, because I heard you think it before. Right. So, since it was my thought, I'm going to say it, honey. Okay, Mother. I was thinking before. You have, and I know, Miss Mother, you might think I'm bragging, but in this lifetime, he's very, very smart. In this previous lifetime, he's my son. You still are? That's good to hear. He said, I still am. When somebody is that smart, if they choose not to go to college, well, they're going to make it anyways because they're smart enough to figure it out and do it. And I have living proof. Yes, we're going to talk about him next. Right. And that's the way I kind of felt too. Right, honey, I never ever thought if you, that's why I didn't push it. I knew if he didn't go to college, well, there are many other options, and my son's smart enough to figure it out. So, yeah, you take back over, honey. Okay, Mom. That's where I was going with that. I felt I could have figured out something, but I had so many people, excluding well, did Dad say anything? No, not at all. Right, he was a tradesman, and he made good money. Right, he was a carpenter. Right, I could have made as good of money as my dad. Unkept it. Right, Mom. Anyways, that brings us to this point. Now, like you always like to say, if you want to go to college, that's your choice. Don't let anyone pressure you into it. Right. Look within. Is that right for you? I don't care what your IQ is. Is it right for you? Don't have other people, oh, you're so smart, it'd be a waste for you not to go. All they're doing is trying to extend the brainwashing, because that's what I hear from colleges these days. Right, Mom? And that was another question. What was going on in college in the early 2000s, honey? It was early 2000s, right? Wait, you graduated high school in 06. Right, Mom. Wow, I remember. There was, yeah, the wokeness. But not quite like it is today. It wasn't as obvious, as prevalent. They were kind of underscoring it, right? Like that subliminal messages, like in commercials, right? Kind of like that they were doing it. And it really had a huge effect, well, on me, Mom. I know. I saw it. It's like, who is this child? Like, couldn't possibly be mine and Jack's, right? Exactly. And I think my dad felt the same way, because I said some things to him too. That you should have been smacked for, right? No, I didn't smack my children, but man, there's a couple things this boy said, right? Anyways, right, Mom, you weren't the only one. Dad got it too. Your dad, much better than I was when we were younger, just being who he truly is and not caring what other people thought. He is the one, as much as your dad and I don't get along, he's the one who instilled that, planted that seed for me. Who cares what other thing? You don't have to think and be like everybody else. Excuse me, everyone, I need to turn on this light. It's getting dark. Right, Mom, and you did mention that. I was surprised to hear you say that. Yeah, and I said that after you crossed over. Right, Mom? Yeah, my mom says crossed over instead of died. Yeah, because died just sounds like you don't exist anymore. And believe me, he does, and they all do. Right. Anyways. Right. There was, I'm going to say the beginning of it, of this woke mentality, right? This is Michelle, I wanted to slap it right out of my son. I did not like what I was seeing. Right, I did not teach you these things. These are not our family's principles and morals. Where the hell did this come from? Because I felt a lot of hatred. Right, Mom, and you're right. You did not teach us. No, nobody in this family ever taught that. It's not a generational thing, right? We didn't, right, who knew about this weird stuff? Right, Mom, but I thought it was correct. Right, and boy, yeah, before the age of, 25, they say, you're very malleable. Right. And this, people, is why, especially morals, but I think all teaching should be done, especially by the parents, but, by your family, by the family. I was perfectly capable of teaching my children, especially how to read and write, and grammar, especially those two. Right. And there is assistance they have, and homeschooling groups. Oh, man, I've been watching videos about that and hearing stuff about this, Michelle. It is good stuff, people. Good stuff. Lots of support. Right, Mom. So, what led up to what I'm going to call my demise, can you handle it? I can. Right. I was talked into going to what was considered the best university in Ohio at that time. Ohio University. Not, oh wow, right. Not Ohio State University, but the Ohio University. Two different colleges, everyone, right? So you know what I said there. Right. Now, I didn't blame you for that. Right. Go ahead. I told my mom I was very depressed there because, right, and you had that pretty much correct. Right. My mom was just telling me her thought on that. Right. All rich white kids, you said straight white kids. Right. Yeah, I did. Yeah, you did tell me. Right, I knew by then. Right. Right, I was gay in this life, and I told my mom, right, 21 or 22. Right, I was in college at the time. Right. And I told you I can't stand another year in this place. It's all rich, white, well, straight guys. I think I said straight kids. Right. Right. And you did take note of that. Right. We were moving in, this is Michelle, moving him in to his college dorm. He was right. And man, I could swear almost all of them were blonde. Yeah, right. That made me not fit in. Right. I saw one on the entire campus, and I believe he was on your floor of the dormitory, one African American kid, and that was it. Now, I am not into this equity shit. This is Michelle. I don't, this is bullshit. Hi everyone, it's Gypsy, and I'd like to remind you that my printed merchandise with my original artwork is again available at gypsywitchcreations.com. I am currently focusing on my decentralized American Eagle line. I currently have mugs, water bottles, bumper stickers, and magnets, and soon t-shirts will be available. But when you have an entire school that's all white, and only one. I'm sorry. What my point is, where we lived, there were plenty of African Americans who had a hell of a lot more money than my family did. And again, I'm going to say, intelligence is not based on the color of your skin. So why was there only one African American kid there? Okay, now, right, that does take us into that equity, right. But I'm not saying equity. I just thought it, maybe they weren't checking out like Richmond Heights and Gates Mills and stuff like that enough. I don't know. Right. So he was the only African American. I thought that a little bit odd. No well, I can't say Mediterranean. Yeah, you got Mediterranean. Like Middle Eastern, no, Egyptian. Well, you had a friend who was Egyptian. That's what I'm thinking. Right. She was a pretty girl. It was gay, Mom. Yeah, that's right. That's true. Right. So I understand how you feel about equality. Right, Mom. Equality. Equity, no. Right, then you're treating people like idiots. Right? Anyways, that's when I asked you if I could switch to Case Western Reserve. I got you. Right. What I'm doing is trying to figure out a way to explain this without hurting any member of my family who is still down here. Thank you, honey. You're right, Mom. He's not talking about me. That's all we're going to say. Right. So, my mother gave me permission. Can I take over here? This is Michelle. What I was unaware of, because I'm very naive about these things, is once he left OU and switched to Case, he lost all of his grants and his funding. I had no idea. Right, Mom? And I never told you. I assumed you still had it. Right, Mom. So then with this, let's say, situation in our family, I ended up moving into a dorm. What also my mother did not know is I was taking out more loans. Right. Maybe we should explain that. Let me have the honors, honey. Right. My son is a junior in high school, was so intelligent, he researched the best way to fill out the applications, financial forms. Right. When he had me sign, he says, Mom, I only want you to sign as next of kin. Not what it was at. Yeah, like the person who would be financially responsible should I not be able to pay. Right. Now, he did not do this based on some knowledge that this was coming. Right, Mom? I had no inclination of doing so at that time. Right. You were like 17. Right. That has nothing to do with college, but I just like bragging about that one. Right. Go ahead. You want me to? No, not really. Okay. Is how I feel about it. Yeah. Anyways, what happened was I ended up incurring so much higher education debt that all I could... You okay, Mom? I might need a minute. You think after 7.5 years I wouldn't cry. Yeah, plus being a psychic medium, you think I wouldn't cry. Yeah, most of the time I'm ready to kick him out, right? Anyways, I just kept doing it just to get by. Right, I know that feeling, honey. You have no idea how many times we were in that situation with you growing up, right, Mom? And it could be that was what I was used to. Right. I never realized we were that poor until, right, I got into, well, high school, right. Um, so, take a deep breath, Mom. It got to the point a few years after college, you just remember that conversation. No, I've always remembered it, right. When I graduated, I told my mom that I thought everything was going to be okay. I had more confidence in getting a job, and then I'd be able to pay my loans and everything. Right. Michelle needs it. There's nothing worse than being a grieving mother. Anyways, it got to the point when I was, well, 26. I got very, yeah, paranoid. Mom, that's good. Yeah, he was. Right. And I was hiding literally from the government. I want to tell my story about that. Well, what you were thinking the second time. After my son died, they wouldn't stop calling me. There was one man who was so cruel. And it was right after, I can't remember if I didn't have his death certificate yet, or I just couldn't bring myself to look at it or touch it yet. And he wouldn't shut up. And I'm like, would you be quiet? My younger son is, Christian, sitting next to me. He was only like 16 at the time. I said, shut up. He's dead. I can tell you where he is. He's dead. Will you shut up? And this guy was so cruel, and I had to... Those who collect so-called debt for the government is worse than the mob. Grandpa, my family used to be back in the day involved in the mob. He says, you're damn right about that, Mitchie. We had certain morals and etiquette, and we certainly would not have harassed a freshly grieving mother. Right. The government has no morals or etiquette. Okay. They would not leave our family alone, especially me. Your dad never mentioned anything. Right, Mom. I didn't put his number down. Well, didn't... Right, Mom. Yeah, they're that cruel. I mean, and they're that nasty, which is why I started running and hiding, because I could not bear to, well, face them, right, and hear those nasty remarks. My issue was with the amount of money they were going to take out of my checks. Right. I couldn't figure out how I would pay rent. I would have to live with my mother, well, forever. Right? You wouldn't probably be doing this. Well, if you took that job as a ranger out west, I would. Right? All I could see is that, well, until I was at least my mother's age, right, the age she is now, I would be paying these debts off, not being able to figure out how to pay my other bills or live. Pretty much, well, eat too. And I was afraid they kept calling my mom and bothering her. Now it's me feeling like crying. What did I tell you about that? You told me, honey, if I don't recognize a number that comes up on my phone screen, I don't answer it. So I don't know if they're calling me. Right. You didn't believe me. No, Mom, not really. I told you I was telling you the truth. Right. So I was afraid they were bothering my mom in particular. Yeah. You could say, yeah, go ahead, say what you said to Dad. With my mother in mind, I told my dad, it would be selfish of me not to take my life and all this harassment for my mom. Because all I could see was it would be for the rest of her life. They would be calling and looking for me. Yeah, I didn't know what a spark plug my mom was until after I crossed over. Your brother knew. Well, okay, that's true, but that was my dad. That's true. No, it wasn't reserved just for your fathers. Anybody, especially you, right? My children. Right. Um, so that's what happened with me. And you did somewhat go on a crusade to help with student debt loan. Right. The problem is, even in countries where it's free, it's not really free. You're still paying for it. The taxes are unbelievable. Right. But you were thinking more of the brainwashing. Right. And they did. They brainwashed my son against me, his father. That's wrong. Um, it was very... what I hear going on now is even worse. Right. You're right. Now you want to talk about my brother, right? Right. Um, my youngest son, due to what was going on in our family, was exhibiting behavior problems. Now, what we always need to remember is when a child has behavior problems, they're lashing out or whatever, it's because they're depressed, okay? They don't know any other way to handle it. So we were sent to these special schools. I can't remember what they're called right now. No, anybody remind me because I don't want to remember. But yeah, they would tell us, like me, how to deal with my son. It's like, well, you don't know my son. That's not going to work. Oh, it works with all the children. I was like, my son is not all the other children. This is my son. Sure enough, I would end up being right. And as he got older, what I realized is he was just as smart, is just as smart as John, his older brother. The problem was he has a different learning style. This boy cannot sit in school all day long and listen to these people. And another thing about my youngest son, there better be a good, legitimate reason for why you are asking him to do what you want him to do. Otherwise, he's not going to do it. So those were problems. He would have, if they would teach to the children. Now, I read this book when he was a little boy because I was so desperate to help him learn and stuff like that. I read this book about different learning styles. And I think it may have been called Learning Styles. I don't know if that was the right book. It was so long ago. It was in the early 2000s. I don't know how old he was. Yeah, I don't remember. And it talked about, well, the history of how children were taught in the past before schools existed, which I think is a better option. But he mentioned in there, one, the problem with public schools, schools in general, yeah, let's just call it what it is, government schools, they force children to learn things before they're ready. He says, in the past, and what should always be done, is let the child tell you when they're ready, whether by some kind of sign or just them saying they're interested in learning it. And then they'll be able to learn it. When you force it at certain scheduled times, it backfires a lot of times depending on the child's learning style. Nobody ever bothered to take into consideration my son's learning style. He was trying to take, force a peg into a square hole or something. He didn't fit that learning style. And school did not serve him. And man, all through the whole thing, all of us were a nervous wreck. I mean, the school calling, they were driving us nuts. We had to go for conferences. Nobody was really listening to us and who Christian really is. We would tell them, and it was very annoying. And oh my gosh, I went open house one time for Christian. I swore never again would I go. His science teacher sat there and told me my son is stupid, incapable, and would amount to nothing. Oh, that's right, PEP, that's the name of that program. PEP told me I would be visiting my son in jail when he's a teenager. Never happened. So anyways, a stupid science teacher, man, was she a bitch. Anyways, back then I was too shy and quiet to speak up. But man, if it was now, whatever the hell your name is, and this is Mrs. Schill, I would roll right over your fucking ass. Excuse me, everybody. Anyways, getting myself together. My son is making more money, twice as much as what you're making. No high school diploma. No college. Nothing, because my son is smart and capable. Anyways, I swore I'd never go to another open house, and I didn't. It was a horrific experience. Anyways, we decided when he was 16, and we tried like the online schooling, but it was the government, so it wasn't working. We let him drop out. We signed the papers and everything for him to drop out. It was the best thing we did for him and me and his father. I mean, it was just like a sigh of relief. We were all much more relaxed. Everybody started getting along. It was great. My son told me afterwards, he says, Mom, if school taught anything I could ever use in life, I would have paid attention. But they taught me nothing I could use. So, and all of this was happening right around the time John crossed over. So it was a really weird time for us. So he says, Mom, if this is after he dropped out, can I use your library card? I said, sure, if you return the books on time. He went to the library, got out self-help books, like motivation for like business and stuff. He got out books on financing, investing, real estate. I mean, he had loads of books, and that kid was reading them and studying it, and he learned. He is so good with business and money. He teaches his parents. Right, I will get lectures from my youngest child on money. Anyways, I mean, so what happened was he got his first job. Didn't like that one so much. He gave it a go and stuff. We decided, right after John crossed over and everything, that Christian needed a break. And it was tradition in his father's family. And they're very musicians, vocalists, really talented. He would go on a tour Up With People. And this was a European tour, and he went to Finland and fell in love with this girl at a high school in Finland. Ended up marrying her. That's my daughter-in-law. Right. So anyways, he got a very good job as a car salesman. Made good money there. And then he and his wife went to get their, what is that, I want to say not the truck driver's license. And they're truck drivers now. A truck driving team. Long haul. Making great money. But what they're working on is passive income. Because they want to get to the point where they get to stay home with their children. They're talking about having kids. They want to stay home with their children. So they're working now to earn this money and have this passive income so they could be home with my grandchildren. And he has promised me, Mom, your grandchildren will never go to the government schools. And Grandma, future Grandma, did her happy dance. Because you aren't brainwashing my children. You aren't taking our family values away ever again. I will not have it. But what I'd like to do is the next time my son and daughter-in-law are in town, near where I'm camping, I think he's going to come before I leave Quartzsite. I'm going to see if he'd be willing to do an interview so you can get his perspective on what his school experience was like. What they didn't like about my son was he had a mind of his own, and let me tell you, that boy does. I mean, I think it was worse when he was a younger child. I like some of my son back, I keep saying, still be a little bit rebellious, but not like you were as a kid, right. He was like I said, he needed a damn good reason. Nobody could give him one. And if he didn't like it, he wasn't going to do it. If he didn't agree with you, sitting in that chair all day long and recess was not enough. I don't believe he was hyperactive. I don't believe most kids are. Most kids don't have this ADD and age whatever. It's they're passing that diagnosis. At least when Christian was in school, just too really. It was a diagnosis du jour. And all these kids, especially the boys, expected to be on these medications. Why? So they wouldn't act like children. And they'd sit down, shut up, and you can brainwash them. Change who they are. I expect the children I bring into this world to be the same beings with life lessons under their belts when they become adults. What I don't expect or want is for someone else, anybody, to come in and try to brainwash my children, because what I did, I taught them to think for themselves. And again, age appropriate, decision making, what is your opinion, what do you want, honey, etc. That's me teaching them how to be themselves. And I resent what the schools did to my boys. I wish I could find that science teacher. I really do. I hope she sees this. It is Mrs. Schill, believe it or not. Christian's mother. Remember us? Right. Anyways. Not really. We think you hit it on the head. Yeah, it was a very painful experience. Not just because of John's death, but watching what Christian went through. It was horrifying. As parents, what we went through, I didn't know which end was up. Man, I wish back then I was the person I am today. I would have been sorry. Right, but I learned a lot from it. And the good thing is, my grandchildren won't be going to the brainwashing factories. Right. Anyways, right. I just want you to do what you want. Think for yourself. If you want to go and get, higher education, if that's what they're actually doing, find a school that's actually educating you on skills you can use throughout your life. Right. This shit that's going, it's not skills you could use throughout your life. I'm talking real skills. Where's your ability and talents lay? And go find someone who can help you expound on them, make them better, so that you can use your abilities and talents to make your life better. If you're going to a school where they're teaching you to hate, which is technically what's going on, they may want to call it equity, whatever the hell that is. All right, Carlin, I know. I just don't want to get into it right. Right. They're teaching hate. They're promoting racism, not getting rid of it. They're promoting it. How about we just don't talk about racism and we give everybody, you get the jobs in the merit based on your abilities. And if you're going to tell me there are some people who don't get that, well, I would have to think those are people with severe disabilities. Everybody has something that they can do. That's their talent and their ability. Let's focus on that. Forget the skin color, the nationality, the genders. Forget it. Look inside. The quality of the person. What are their abilities and talents? Okay? You know what? We have to stop blaming each other for things that should be in the past. And by continuing to blame, everybody, you're just keeping it going, okay? So let's focus. Let's look inside, everybody. Do that meditation. Look inside. Find out who you are and what your abilities and talents are, what would best suit you in your life. And focus on learning and making those skills even better. And maybe you'll have a career you love, which is rare these days, and that's sad. Okay? Forget this other shit. These colleges, these universities teaching this stupid shit isn't helping anyone. It's just they're promoting division and hate, okay? So, I can't believe I got through that. It was very hard for me. But yes, if Chris, next time he's in town, I will see, maybe a while, if he wants to sit down with me and talk about his school experience from his perspective instead of his mother's. Right, he's very diplomatic these days, and so he'll be much more yeah. Anyways, I'm going to leave you out with that. Blessed be, and make it a joyful one.